Buenos dias, bom dia, comunidade. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our daily webinars, an opportunity for all of us as Hispanic leaders to be enlightened, to be informed, to be educated, so that we can open our horizons, we can reskill, we can retrain our brain, and we can learn in this time of pandemic, of COVID. This is part of the Hispanic Response and Recovery Plan in a time in which this is a framework for all of us to try to mitigate together the impact that COVID has in our community that, as we know, is disproportionately affected by COVID, disproportionately affected at the health level, at the economic level, and disproportionately exposed, since we're pretty much running the country with 19 million Hispanics in essential functions. Every day we bring you someone that we think is a Hispanic star, someone you should know. And today it is wonderful for me to be able to introduce a person I met at the World Economic Forum in Davos, where he is literally the darling of Davos. He's a social entrepreneur and a non-for-profit sitting in Brazil but operating in the world. Welcome, David Hertz, who's the founder and president of Gastromotiva. We will be discussing today. One, I want you to get to know David Hertz. You should know why Davos loves him, why is he the darling of food systems, and actually like bringing chefs from right and left to rethink systems and rethink the way in which we operate. And we're going to be talking today about redesign and rethinking the future of hospitality that has been so massively affected now by COVID. David Hertz, such a pleasure to have you here. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Claudia, and thank you for your kind words. And also I want to congratulate and thank you to invite me to this network. I've seen your leadership. I went to your events, not only in Davos, but in New York. And I was astonished on your devotion, on how you do this. And I think it's really the moment for us to rethink all systems. And the perspective that I want to bring here is how the food system can connect us. So I think the message that I want to really ask everyone or bring is like, how can we feed now humanity with humanity, having a food system to allow us to perform with more responsibility and empathy. So that's basically what I would like really to share. And once you remind me of my place in Davos, I'm very fortunate. I think we are all very fortunate here in order to be always talking and getting inspired from the bright minds or the bright actions that everyone here is doing. So I really humble here to also learn from you, learn from others. But what Davos brings me back is like our role. And we've been talking in Davos for the last 2-3 years, mostly how we bring purpose to our leadership. How do we bring more response? And I think that's what I would really like to share on how we are reinventing ourselves at Gastromotiva, how Nikki and all the team at Social Gastronomy are reinventing the connections globally. But more than that, how can we really be more empathetic and engaged leaders in Latin America? Because we are having all our transparent system here.
Let's start there. You're based in Brazil. Tell everybody what is Gastromotiva?
Okay, so Gastromotiva is a nonprofit. We started 15 years ago in order to train young people, underprivileged people from the favelas, from prisons, to become kitchen assistants, cook, food entrepreneurs, and enter the system of hospitality. Over time, we understood that not only training, but food education we need to bring because we're able to reach the families. Over time, we understood that there is a part of population that needs the basic things, needs some integrity, needs food. So we started with Massimo Bottura and Alexandra Forbes, a journalist in Brazil, a restaurant, culinary kitchen for communities. So we only cook with food waste, food surplus, and we only serve homeless people. So if I bring training, fight food waste, feed the homeless, and also training and food education, we have what we call social gastronomy, which is using food as a tool for social change. So Gastromotiva acts, but also advocates for a more equitable food system and hospitality market.
And in that sense, I do remember that we did a dinner together at the World Economic Forum some years ago. And as a fact, part of UNICEF, where we brought Shakira to be part of that dinner, where David was kind enough, we were putting together a dinner for 150 people, and he was kind enough to tell everybody just after they finished having dinner that all the food was cooked from food waste. So all those CEOs and the presidents of countries and decision makers were having dinner prepared by a congregation of people from David that was working with the World Food Program, putting together chefs from different parts of the world, saying like, I'm gonna do the entree, I'm gonna do the dessert, I'm gonna do the salad, but everything was done with food waste to demonstrate that it is possible and to bring social consciousness to this. So this is amazing. We congratulate you. We want to know how to replicate you. I also know that Gastromotiva is not only happening in Brazil, but you have expanded worldwide. How can we learn about this? And do you have anything happening in the States, in the United States?
So first, let me remind you something that you touched the point. When we did that cooking in Davos, cooking from food surplus, from supermarket and small stores, actually from Zurich, we took it up there. We brought 2 cooks from the favelas in Brazil. So again, when we say feed humanity with humanity, is bringing opportunities. So when you come back to Gastromotiva, and look, I remember, and I have to say that, because part of us in Latin America, we lack of inspiration. And I get inspired by these people who are also transforming their lives, who we channel for. And I remember Luis, one of our cooks, going to the JP Morgan dinner at night reception, and he saw Tony Blair. And Tony Blair listened to his story and was so inspired. It was the first email that I got from Davos. So what I want to bring here is like, we do training, but I think those stories of inspiration is what keep us going. So a message to all of us here, and who needs your support in Latin America. Before I go into Gastromotiva, people are looking for food. They need food in their homes, and they need opportunities. So Gastromotiva, which with its, I would say, social technology, which is training people, has developed a program for entrepreneurs, food entrepreneurs, that informal entrepreneur that sometimes is selling something in the streets or door to door, or some cakes in their community. And we are bringing them a training to make their products more sustainable, but to sell more. We are teaching them, supporting them on how to separate the house income to the business income. And this is now being replicated not only in Brazil, but in Mexico, and with the World Food Program in El Salvador. So we do both ways. We train for the market, for the hospitality, the restaurants and the hotels, but we also train them to become independent. And now what comes to me, and maybe there are people here who are leaders in the food industry, in the hospitality, is the future of hospitality. And I believe in the small businesses now, in going back to real food, in going back to buying local, in going back or learning from our grandparents on how to use all the food, the ingredients, and not waste. So there is a friend from the World Economic Forum, maybe you know Lucian, and he said, remember the future. And I think now it has come the time for us to reflect. And I believe entrepreneurship is the key now in the response for the COVID. And I would like to share also what innovations Gastromotiva has brought up in this time of COVID. So as I mentioned to you, we run a restaurant in the city of Rio for the homeless where we cook only with food donation, food surplus. So we turned that restaurant that used to cook meals, 90 dinners at night, to support organizations around. So we closed the restaurant, but we became a food bank. And with the food bank, we are feeding 35 organizations in the city of Rio, where they are cooking for free in their neighborhoods. But also we start, like I mentioned to you, an entrepreneurial program called the Solidarity Kitchens. So the trainees of Gastromotiva, the cooks that we trained in the past, are turning their homes into Solidarity Kitchens, cooking 1,200 meals a month for free. So now we're doing a big fundraise around Brazil and in the globe to open 50 kitchens to feed 80,000 meals a month. And I believe this will build the new future of hospitality, where we need to bring more social and environmental aspect to the business. So imagine this entrepreneur that used to cook bread. Now he's making meals for their community for free. Some of them are already thinking on how to sell a ready-made meal and then give one for free. So we are starting to give hope for those ones who are losing jobs.
So I do want to ask you this, but this is hitting home here. As I mentioned, and just to be on the safe side, we are a lot of Hispanics. And by the way, David, you have to help me on two fronts. The first one is understanding the future of hospitality and how do we apply that for Hispanics here. The other one is, can you help me bring Brazilians to integrate and feel Hispanics? It doesn't matter if we are called Hispanics or Latinos, we're the same. This is an invention of someone in the census 70 years ago to call us Latinos or Hispanics. So I want to make sure that you give me some tips about how to bring the Brazilian community to feel part of the Hispanic community or the Latino community, whatever it is. But let alone, this issue really hits home because hospitality is where we work the most. All the restaurants, like all the hotels, that's actually our life. Hospitality is where we are. We really work in the service industry, and a lot of us have lost their jobs, particularly small businesses, entrepreneurs, but also independent workers working on kitchen, working on cooking, working on, on cleaning. A number of people of us are owners of restaurants, and we're all being hit by this. So I need to understand in a way, one, what would you tell those, like New York, every restaurant is closed. How do we turn it around? How do we, an organization like ours that has all the leaders around the corner, like that, we can say like, hey, let's make a call to the hospitality industry and say, restaurants, can you open your doors to transform them into a food bank for Hispanics? Like there are organizations, David, like Feeding America, God bless their soul, that distribute to a number of people, but they don't really have distribution centers that go wide for Hispanics. They're 85%, 70 to 85% feeding the African American community and others because of the places where they are based. They are in New Orleans, they're in Alabama, and we're not there. So this is so important for us. What's the future of hospitality, and how do we turn it around now in COVID, based on the experience that you have, so that we can be useful in giving food, but also in giving jobs?
Okay, so I wanna answer you in a second part, and I will give examples what's happening in Chile and what's happening in Brazil, which I've been learning with the social gastronomy movement. But first of all, I want to tell you what happened to me on March 12th. Okay, so I already told you we have training, we have a restaurant, but all of a sudden we have to send everyone home. And Nick and I and our team, Samantha, everyone who's working there, we asked ourselves, what do we do now? And first, all of us, we need to embrace that nothing's gonna come back to normal. And we need to reinvent ourselves. And reinventing yourself you need to become vulnerable. You need to know your talents. It's the opportunity for you to face your fears and embrace that nothing's gonna be like you need. It's the moment that hits society. it will not go back to normal. And we knew that. The way I knew is because I knew I was privileged and the people who are served by Gastromotiva were more in need. So the second thing that I bring is embrace everything. And now start thinking of others. Gastromotiva is successful. I'm in Davos because in our core, we work for others. So I believe that when you work for others, look at others, abundance comes back to you. And I've been seeing this happening in the ground with the restaurants. So now I'm gonna give you the example of Chile. Chile has hit they're facing problems there for 6 months now, since November. So many restaurants like 99, which is a gastronomic restaurant, had to close their doors because they didn't have clients. And then you have a festival called NAM, which is the most important festival of Chile, led by Rafa, who is one of the members of the social gastronomy movement. So when the COVID hit, we all went on a Zoom call and say how we support each other. So first we knew we were part of a community. If you say, who is your community in New York that you can get along and start practicing something you co-create together. It's not a moment to do business alone anymore. It's a moment to bring your clients, your workers. They know what you need. So I believe the answer is in each business model to become more solidarious and look for other peers. So in Chile, with the leadership of Rafa and Kurt, the chef from 99, they brought other restaurant owners. So they started to think together how they are gonna open their restaurants with more social responsibility and more environmental engagement. And now they are reshaping their restaurant together, learning from each other, getting connected. And soon enough, they already are, I don't know what happened from last week until now, but they brought their new business model to the community to take place and help them reshape the restaurants. So hospitality is about service. We reshape ourselves and we reshape with our peers our businesses. And there is no way that if we don't bring the solidarity part, we can continue. And I will give you an answer from Brazil. You know who we are supporting now? Fazano. A lot of people know the brand Fazano. It's like the brand in Brazil for high quality hospitality services and the best restaurants in Brazil. And they called me, David, we want to help the communities in Rio. We are all closed. Can you help us to get connected? Who are the communities who needs food because we are cooking? So we connected them to deliver food in the streets of Copacabana with a very known and respected NGO. So I think now is the moment for you to go out there and see who thinks of you. And if you're still thinking on how you're gonna make profit out of your business point, I think you're gonna be a little bit behind if you're looking for a long-term business from now on. So I think the answer is in, look who is the star in the US, it's Jose Andres. Does Jose Andres needs to change the US? He already has, I don't know, more than 20 restaurants, all range of restaurants, but he's there without sleeping, changing communities, all Latin America, in the US, you know? So I get inspired by Jose Andres, by Alice Waters, by Dan Barber, by Daniel Hum, who changed his restaurant into a solidarity restaurant. He said 11 Madison Park will not be the same. And he's doing this with his workers. So I think the way we chefs and social entrepreneur thinks is about others and the innovation. We are very creative in the end because we care about the planet. We cook with the planet. So I would tell everyone, in those moments of vulnerability, embracing your fears, go cook, go sit with your family. The answers are out there. And this is the opportunity we have in the COVID.
I love it. Can I ask two, and I know that we're off time, but two things. The first one is, cooking has become through COVID, like a matter of fact thing that we have done more and more. Every one of us, every individual is cooking more at home, and it's like when you have the luxury to stay at home, this is something that by de facto will change and will become again important. What do you eat? How do you eat it? How do you cook together with your family? So, what do you tell Latinos? That that are here about that appreciation that you have had as a profession. And question number two is, David, I would love to invite you. We have, as part of the Hispanic Star in Action, we have a month of action that we're going to kick off May 21. I would love if you can be part of it. Gastromotiva can be a partner of what we're doing for a month of action, like to take like a month to invite everyone, individuals and corporations, to take action to support Hispanics, the Hispanics that are running the country, the Hispanics that are in the front line, the Hispanics that are being affected by health, so that you can invite those chefs and those restaurants that are in America that are part of your, your heroes. Let them know that we have a month of action so that they can, take action and also inspire other people on how to do it. There are many people that own restaurants or that work in restaurants that I think don't have that model and don't have that knowledge. So invitation, Gastromotiva, join us on the month of action. And number two, what do you tell Latinos about like cooking and food themselves?
Okay, so we're going to start a partnership alive in front of everyone. And I say for this month, let's all share one recipe that represents ourselves, that connects us to our memories, and let's share the ideas we have for this community to become stronger. So I think it's one answer for both. Let's all share the best that we have, which is our culture. Is the moment, especially for Brazilians, to honor its culture, to connect to the people in need. And I would say a second challenge, share the food you cook. Share with someone and start a dialogue. Listen to the people. What's going on with you on COVID? You can do this today through lives on Instagram. So I think we both can bring people together here to share a recipe a day, to share who we are through that recipe. Because I think it's the time to honor our potentials. And food is a big part of our culture. It's something we can hold on. I see families lose everything, Claudia. But then when they cook together and they remind the smell of home, the taste of the mother, the taste of home, it brings hope. I have seen this in refugee camps. So I think it's the time for all of us to build bridges, and food is the way to connect. So I want to learn recipes from this Hispanic community, and I promise to share one recipe. And if you want to do once again this together, we can do while I'm cooking. I will give you like one more day. We do it. We can cook together a recipe. It works. I did with a young global leader, and it works really well. So maybe let's all cook together one day.
I think that we do that on May 21 to kick off our month of
May 21 is already now. Let's talk.
Okay. Another day during that month. Let's do it once so that we can invite you to cook, and you give us ingredients and we can cook together as a shared meal. That's fantastic.
So let me share what just happened. When you do together, when you think together genuinely with authenticity, you build the partnership online now. We don't have more time to waste. And that's the moment that I think we need to all understand. Everyone that is here in this Zoom call is very privileged. We are all privileged. So now is the moment that we build real partnership, looking into each one's eyes and make commitments.
Yeah, David Hertz, last words for a last message that you would like to deliver. How can people find you?
Okay, so I'm on Instagram, David Hertz. And someone says it's a good idea. So we have already one person cooking with us. And I would really, Milena is putting here my Instagram. Please put my email. And I would like to share here with you the campaign that we are doing online to build more Solidarity Kitchens. So anyone that wants to know more about the Solidarity Kitchens can come with us, can support us, can just be part of this movement. and we will share all our learnings soon.
Fantastic. David Hertz, it's such a pleasure to have you here. We'll have you back so that we can cook with you, like have a recipe that we cook with you. We will actually share recipes. I think that that's a brilliant idea. And it's even more brilliant what you're doing in Brazil and the rest of the world. Founder of Gastromotiva, David Hertz, thank you so much for being here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.